What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Replayer Podcast. I'm Dan Morris, your host this week, and welcome to our weekly video game podcast where we talk about video games and what went down on the Retro Replay YouTube channel. With me today is my intensified co-host, Pagan.
Hi.
And also joining us today and join me in welcoming our guest this week, Wendy.
Hi.
Hi, Wendy. And returning to the podcast is Britt.
Yay, Britt.
Yay!
Yay, Wendy.
Yay, me.
Yay, Wendy!
Yay, Dan.
Yay, Pagan!
Yay, everybody. Is this a game? Am I winning? I don't know.
Is this how you win?
Is this how you win? You just say names and go, yay, afterwards? Number one. Yeah. Yay, Troy. Yay, Nolan.
So Wendy
Yay,
and
Troy.
Britt, very happy to have you guys on the show. Wendy, this is your first time on, so how are you finding it? And what do you think of the show so far?
Not my first time on. I've been on the special.
Well, the main show.
The main show.
The main
Yeah.
show.
I was like main
It is
show.
great
Yeah.
enough. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh.
No, I mean, to be fair, the special episodes are only available on YouTube. So whoever is looking to hear more about the MCM meetup and the Manchester Comic Con replayers that did meet up and meet Troy and Nolan, that's available now on our YouTube, the Replayer Podcast.
Yes, thank you, Pagan. So if anyone's listening to only the main show, they would not have heard you on that yet, Wendy.
Yeah, which is so nice to have you here on the main show, on the podcast show that will be on iTunes. Woo!
And everywhere else as well.
Yeah, and also everywhere. We plan on plastering this everywhere. So
So this is a new question I thought of asking whenever we have a replayer on the show, wanting to ask them how long they've been a replayer. Like, when did you get into the show? When did you start watching it? How long you've been a fan?
that's true. Britt, how about you? Like, when did you start watching the show?
I start actually from the very beginning. I think I was I found the channel. I was in film school and I was looking at videos of Nolan and Troy on my break, and
Okay.
I found the channel,
Wow.
and they just uploaded the first episode.
It was their
So-
conception.
So
Yeah,
you've been
I was
right
from
there
the
all along from the beginning, huh?
I have.
Mm. How about you, Wendy?
I've been around since I want to say June, but I honestly couldn't tell you. Watched the shows and stuff before that. Realized there was a live chat at one point. Got super excited. Then everyone was talking about a Discord channel, which I wasn't part of. So I was like, gonna quickly Google Retro Replay Discord, and then I appeared, and so it was.
And then you just
And so
appeared
the rest is history.
with a holy light. Oh.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
am-
all the better for it.
So are we all.
So,
This podcast would be here without that.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, Wendy, do you know a good idea when you started watching this show? I mean, beyond just joining the Discord.
Sorry, what was that?
Do you know when you joined or started watching the show specifically?
Oh, I used to watch it not live, but kind of like after the fact, get my little notifications on YouTube because I've got my little one, so I never used to have the time to watch it. And it was probably like I used to watch it properly from about March onwards. Before that, it was kind of bits and pieces as and when I could catch it.
I gotcha. So you actually started around the same time as me. I kind of got on the show late. I've known about it since it started, but life had gotten in the way and stopped me from actually watching it. And then when I finally did start watching it, there was no going back. Life was different.
She went to the Replay family. You don't get to leave.
Yeah, right. The thing is that, like, I mean, I didn't even know about I didn't know you could watch things like live on YouTube. Like, I didn't know YouTube did live. I didn't know they did premieres. I didn't know what a live chat was. I had been watching the show since I did the Spider-Man episode, the first
Heck
episode.
yeah!
Heck
High
yeah. Because I knew who they were, obviously, and then they made a YouTube channel. I was like, oh, sweet, I'm gonna subscribe to this. And then I watched the first couple of episodes, and then I think life just got in the way, and I could never really watch them all. So eventually, I would just I guess, get a whole bunch of videos that I had missed, say like 5 weeks or something, and then I would just watch all 5 episodes. So it was only when recently Troy came to Dublin for MCM Dublin, and he was talking about the live chat and people being on the live chat, and I was like, what the heck is a live chat? And he was like, oh, it's the YouTube, like when it premieres on YouTube. I was like, hold up, there's premieres on YouTube?
I
what
like
are
how you say
talking about?
premiere.
Yeah, premiere.
Premiere.
Yeah, Yeah, shut up, Dan. You're the only American on this.
Oh no,
You're
I'm outnumbered.
outnumbered.
You're the one that says it weird.
You're the one that says it weird.
Hmm.
But yeah, so like it was weird because I didn't know anything about live chats or when YouTube shows premieres and stuff like that. Like I didn't know. I had no idea until he freaking said it on the stage, and I was like, oh, I should probably look into this. And then that's how I got part of like the Discord community. I didn't know what Discord app was. I didn't know what any of that stuff was. I've never played online before. And then I did play online, and that was with you.
I
With
love
me.
that because I was exactly the same, and I was like, I'm such an old lady when it comes to stuff like that because things I know I do really well,
Yeah.
but like learning things like the Discord, I was like, what?
Oh, what?
How does this work? Is this English? I don't know. Like that was me. I started downloading it, and then all these people were talking, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And then my fiance's like, "It's a chat room," and I was like, "That makes sense. That's what we called them back in the day. We called them chat room, AOL chat room."
Like an AOL chat.
Sure. Yeah, that was back in the day, man. So this is like an upgrade from that. It was cool. I didn't know anything about it, and now I'm like parts of a lot of Discord.
I wonder how many of our listeners are like, "What's AOL?"
Or what's MSN? What's MSN Messenger? What's AOL Messenger?
Is that like MySpace?
Thing with the person running and stuff like that.
Oh man, MySpace. Good reference. It's right back.
The OG social media.
OG MySpace, and then you'd link that to your Bebo or your Bebo to your MySpace. Yes, the day.
Like that's Bebo. You actually, oh, that's a blast from the past.
That is a blast from the past. I kind of wish that Bebo was still around, if I'm honest. Like,
Britt, do you even know what
I
we're
kinda
talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
As you're so
okay,
quiet.
We have a live version of this now. 'Cause you're like, I wonder what,
You make your own website kind of thing, and
oh,
it was like about you, and it was always like, I really like rock music. Like,
See,
my
like
other
Discord
half
now
was
is like AIM Messenger was for me back when I was a teenager. Be on AIM.
Messenger.
Yeah, AOL Messenger.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. Because I definitely had AOL and I had MSN Messenger as well. That was
Be on
before
there
these
all
guys.
the time.
Bebo was like, Bebo was almost like the original Facebook or something. It was just like way worse. Like Facebook's much better. Facebook's like the upgrade that Bebo needed. But yeah, Bebo was like the Facebook profile. Like it was just Facebook profiles. Like you couldn't like there was no live feed, no like homepage or things like that. It was just Facebook profiles.
Right.
All over the internet. That was class. And it was filled with all of those little emo kids and like that crazy like
So many emo
mama
pictures.
Oh, so many, so many with all those
Let the
little, like,
world
rubber-
see my suffering and my pain while I get all dressed up in makeup.
Yeah, and it's all sorts of stuff and like dressing so silly, so silly. My corsets and
like
stuff.
everything. That was the thing. Stripy toe socks.
Yeah,
the-
stripy
Okay.
everything is right. Stripy hair,
Stripy hair.
stripy hair. Yeah, my brother had the stripy hair. I had pink hair. I had pink hair with blue
Oh.
underneath.
I had the cosmic blue, if you recall that.
Did
from,
you?
That stuff, yeah.
Ha!
Damn,
See,
you're so cool.
I did blue once, the whole head, and then I did blue underneath and pink on top, and then I did the other way around. I did blue on top and pink underneath. I was so cool.
Anywho,
Tangent.
enough of hair color tangents. Poor Brit over there. She's like, what?
Yeah, that's great.
We were getting so excited then as well.
Yeah, so we have plenty to talk about this week, even though there was only the technically one episode of Retro Replay, but I feel like we got some good material to talk about. So with that, I'm going to say that brings us to the... Alright, so most of you listening know, but for those who don't, Retro Replay is a YouTube channel hosted by Troy Baker and Nolan North, and it's also produced by Red Bear Films. Their main show is a trip back in time where they play some of the retro games of yesteryear, and we are here to rewind and discuss the content of their most recent episodes, as well as venture on our own many tangents, like you've just experienced. Tangent. So, like I mentioned already, that we did not get an Uncharted playthrough since they are finished with Uncharted, the first game. So it's been a quiet week, but we are expecting that next week they're gonna return with Noli VR, as I'm calling it now.
Woohoo.
Noli VR. So that's where we should get to see old Uncle Noli do some deep sea diving in VR. And after that, they should be back with Uncharted 2, from what we've been told and should understand. So anybody got some thoughts, feelings, excitements? Wendy, how
Yeah,
about you?
I can't wait to see him make a complete tit out of himself. It's one of the
Perfect. I feel like that's kind of what I said last week, but in a really long way.
A really long.
A long tangent-filled way is, yeah. Let's just watch Nolan make a tit out of himself. That's great.
Yeah, we did touch on the Noli VR last week, so we got Wendy and Britt now, and we can see what they think.
Mm.
I'm so excited.
Thanks, Britt.
You're welcome. No, it's gonna be great. I can't wait to see it. I think it'll be like the one episode I will be able to get my mum to watch because she loves people's reaction to VR.
Oh,
So
perfect.
I'll actually get her to watch a Retro Replay episode.
Yeah.
I think generally older people playing VR is always hilarious because it just seems to blow their mind every time. You always get like them on YouTube where it's like, my nan played VR and it's like this little old lady who's like obviously so sweet and does not deserve to be put on YouTube in the slightest. Like, it's hilarious.
That's kind of like one of the first VR videos I ever saw on the internet. Was this one of an old lady on it's like if she was at some sort of presentation or studio show of some sort that was showing off of roller coaster VR, and it showed her like sitting there just like screaming at the top of her lungs.
See, this is the kind of reaction I really want from Nolan if he plays Rush of Blood, because it would be a roller coaster VR.
Oh, right.
Damn.
So I'm like,
No,
please,
ugh.
please, 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 please.
That's
Like,
the one with the
Drew, I will
clowns, isn't
pay
it?
you. Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah,
The
oh,
clowns, and
no,
there's
don't
like,
make him do that.
You're
Do
just
it.
gonna have to buy a copy of Rush of Blood and send it to him.
yeah. That's
No.
actually what I should do. It's like, Drew, I will bribe you. Please just let him play this. This is good crack.
Nolan would never.
When you donate the suits, you have to say, you've got to try this. If it's a VR one, do that one.
Exactly, and it's like, I mean, I did say last week that I had put that in a comment on their YouTube channel, and they did like it. So I was like, please, Drew, please. I was like, film, like even if you don't do it for this week's coming one, because I know that they film several weeks ahead, yeah. But like, even if they did like a Halloween special or something like that, and they brought back VR for
That'd be
Rush of
great.
Blood, yes, because it's not a scary game. It's too like hyper. I guess hyper realistic is say hyper unrealistic. So it's too much to be scary. It's just good crack. It's fun,
Yeah.
and it does have a few jump scares in it, but it's just a point and shoot. That's all.
I do enjoy watching people
So
play
cringe.
survival horror VR games. Like, those are hilarious videos on the internet. I forget which one it was. I've seen a video of a guy playing this game that I forget. I don't know what the game was, but it was a first-person puzzle survival horror game, much like the Layers of Fear that you've been playing, Pagan.
Oh, okay.
And there would be these monsters that roam around the halls, and like this guy would just lose his mind every time he saw one of the monsters. And there was one point where, because it's VR, you can see like his hand on the screen, and he's sitting there going, no, 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 and like waving his hand at the monster, telling it to get away from him.
That would be me. Like, I'm surprised that isn't me. I'm sure that's a video.
We're gonna have to get you a VR headset just for that, or you already got one, don't you?
I have a VR headset. I just don't have any like horror games and stuff like that for it. I mean, we do
You're
have
gonna have to
Resident
change
Evil
that.
for it, but no. And Rush of Blood, like I rock at that game. Like, I'm so good at that game. And I say I'm so good. It just means that I don't panic. Like I'm not actually good. I don't score good points or anything. Like, I'm terrible. Like, my actual skill level is terrible. But I'm good at it that I can actually sit there and enjoy the game, and I can point and shoot and pass levels and everything. Get to the end and clear it.
That's good.
That's how I.
Big note from me.
It's good.
No, really?
I don't like clowns. I can't. I'm like
Ew.
Nolan. I just. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Because Nolan is afraid of clowns. Please, God. do Rush of Blood.
See, I don't like clowns either. I hate clowns, but that also makes for a good survival horror, though. Like, fuck you, clown! Get away from me! Stay back!
Good
Yeah, I
response.
feel like I can enjoy it because it's truly like Schadenfreude, where basically like that if that were you, you would be equally like ridiculous on camera. Someone watching you play VR, you know it's going to just be ridiculous, and you're going to be screaming and making funny faces and hate yourself.
Somebody's gotta make a VR version of PT.
Yeah.
Oh
No.
no.
No, 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 no,
They
no, no.
kind of did in Layers of Fear. If you've been watching that, like, I mean, obviously, PT and Layers of Fear are completely different companies and everything like that, but Layers of Fear definitely drew inspiration somewhere because there's a lot in that reminds me.
Well, that's exactly what they did with Resident Evil 7, and they made a VR version of that too.
Oh God, no, no.
Like scary
No,
games.
I played the beginning of Resident Evil 7, and it's a bit where she's coming up the stairs, like in like crab formation, and I'm like, no,
Crab
I'm out.
formation. She's crab walking up the stairs at you.
Yeah, crab walking up the stairs. I'm like, no, and it's not one of those cute little sideways crab walks. Anyway, it's like one of them really messed up.
The
looking
grunge
walks.
style.
Just
Yeah.
like that is just put like a kind of funny music in your head in the background. So if you see someone doing creepy crab walking, you go waka 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 waka.
That's literally like what Nyx does when she plays Resident Evil 2. She puts on silly music so that she's less scared.
I would, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I would have to turn off the sound. I could play any game if the sound was turned off. I'd have less jump scares. If Layers of Fear had zero soundtrack,
Yeah.
perfect.
See, now the
Hear that
ultimate
game-
experience, you gotta play survival horror games wearing like stereo headset so you hear everything.
That's the thing. Like I was playing Layers of Fear with headset, and I'm like, nah, uh-uh.
Nuh-uh. No, no,
Because even
no.
small things like your character will step on glass and it breaks, and you're like, what
Yeah.
the hell's that? Oh my God! And you're like, oh yeah, just have something.
See, now
Like,
I gotta get you to play Dead Space because the sound design and the engineering in that game is so fucking good because it plays with your brain the way they do sound in that game.
we've played Dead Space in surround sound at my fiance's old house, like at his family home, and we played it with like surround sound and like super big speakers and stuff like that. And I just noped out of there. I just noped out of there. Completely noped out. I'm like, nope, this is terrible and terrifying. And I mean, I applaud the game designers and the sound designers for that game. Like honestly, fantastic work, folks. But you're too good at your job, and now I'm too scared to play.
You've done too good. I can't play your game.
Exactly. I'm like, this is too scary now, and I'm out. Thanks,
Which,
though.
oh, you know what that reminds me? The guys who made I shouldn't say guys, but the team that made Layers of Fear, they're making the Blair Witch game that comes out, I think, next week. And I think I'm going to snag that. I think I'm going to play that because that looks pretty ridiculous.
Stream it. I will watch it.
Yes.
I'm excited to play Layers of Fear 2. So at some point that will also be coming up. I think around Halloween I'll try and do another
Perfect.
stream of Layers of Fear. And we'll get some of the replayers, the Irish replayers down for that. But hell's no to a Blair Witch. I couldn't even watch this film. Like the film makes me almost queasy because of the way it's filmed.
Right.
Like the camera actions of it, it's just a terrible film. Terrible.
Oh yeah, for sure. The movie
not
itself
scared
is
at all.
terrible, but
Yeah,
the
but
premise
I
is
would not be
terrifying.
I wouldn't be up for that for a VR game of that. No.
Well,
Or
I don't
another,
I don't know if it's in
different-
VR, but still it looks pretty terrifying.
Oh.
It
Yeah,
might be in
regardless.
VR.
Mm-mm. No, but I would like to see maybe Nolan and Troy play some sort of horror eventually, because they're playing a lot of retro, and I get it's a retro replay game, but maybe on their Monday nights when they're playing like games that Nolan haven't played, like I think it would be cool to see some of the newer, more modern games that he hasn't played either.
That gives me a random thought too, because like you said, on the main show they play retro games, but there are some retro like horror games. Not many of them were good, but it would be fun to see them play something like maybe like Splatterhouse or Friday the 13th, which those games were terrible, but that would make for some good fun on the show.
Good content. I'd like to see them do, like they're doing a lot of SNES and N64 and all this kind of stuff, and I would love them to do like a point and shoot arcade, like Time Crisis or House of the Dead. I think that'd be really cool to see. Like that would be great fun, because I think the two of them would just have great crack. We'll just have to bring them out, lads. We'll just have to go to Manchester, bring them out afterwards, and be like, listen, lads, there's a bar, and we're gonna go to it, and you're gonna play it.
Time Crisis, good time.
Yeah, Time Crisis and all that.
Time Crisis.
Yes.
Britt, do you play any scary games?
No.
None. Nope.
Short answer, no.
The Last of Us.
Yeah,
The Last of Us.
That
Yeah, I mean that counts.
Yeah.
It
Pretty
has
bad
it
count.
definitely has some scary moments.
That was the first sort of horror elemental game, I guess, like a survival horror game that I've ever played. That was the
Yeah,
first like
same, I
scary
think.
game that I because I was like, I can't do them. I'm like you,
Yeah.
Britt. I
No.
can't do them.
I think what's
Yeah,
great about The
me.
Last of Us is it's one of those games where there are really scary moments in the game, but a lot of those scary moments aren't from the monsters, it's from the people. And you're like, oh my god, the people are worse than the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
People are the monsters.
They are the true monsters.
All right, when you get deep.
Yeah, I love the sound, like, because you're talking about the music and stuff, and the way The Last of Us did that is incredible, because obviously they did have music and all the sound effects and all the rest of it, but they kept it quiet and certain things that really made you go, oh shit, oh
Yeah.
shit.
You're like, what's going to come out
And then
now?
you start hearing a clicker and stuff like that, and the sound amazing through your headphones. Oh, incredible. Incredible sound. I'd love to see them play that too, but I think like we had discussed that before with Troy at the Dublin MCM, where someone was saying that they would love to see Troy play The Last of Us, and he was like, the only thing with that is like I'm a stealth player, so we're gonna play for a while. Like he was just like, I like to stealth everything, so he's like it would go on for a long time. But seeing
That's
Nolan play,
fine.
yeah, I would.
Imagine
Well, too.
Nolan would just run in and then be like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, and
Yep.
just run away. Like, the majority of
Basically,
it. It
He
would go
just
on for
jumps.
16
He
weeks.
starts jumping.
Yeah.
Jump
Sounds
to
like
freedom.
brother.
Bless him.
So if nothing else, hopefully we get some Uncharted 2 shortly thereafter, which I am super excited about. Because Uncharted 2 is my favorite.
Same.
When I met him at MCM, I did actually say to him, like, obviously they go on about the TV a lot. I know they're sponsored, so obviously there's a reason for that. But that if it's 75 inches, like genuinely, that train scene is gonna look incredible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Biggest game ever. Like, oh my god, what a great game.
When it like kind of like spoiler alert if anyone's listening, but like there's an entire cart that comes off and kind of spins around and then goes flying at him. It stops just as he reaches the tunnel, and that is going to look so good because like the first time I watched that was at my dad's and that was on a 50-inch, and I remember thinking, oh my god, and then it was like boom, like I loved it.
Yeah, such great effects in that game.
Yeah.
Britt, how about you?
Much perfect. About my feelings towards Uncharted 2.
Yeah, I bet their potential playing through of Uncharted 2 soon.
I think they're going to have a grand time.
They're gonna have a grand time.
Oh, you know what's probably gonna be really funny is Uncharted 2 has different controls from Uncharted 1, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So we're gonna get a complete reset on circle to cover, no, triangle to cover, no, R1 to reload. Like, no, wrong buttons, Troy.
Oh man, one of my favorite moments is Amy Hennig just like absolutely ripping the piss out of Troy for being like, it wasn't triangle.
It's not triangle.
Circle, damn it. And like, do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh,
she was so good.
It was good content. Good content.
Very good.
Amy Hennig is just generally the queen of good content though. Like, have you ever played Legend of Kain?
No, I haven't.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
She made that.
Yeah, she directed that as well, and it's so good. It's like that is a retro game that they should play as well because, like, I've forgotten the guy who did the voice, but he does the voice of Frollo in Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So
Oh
like,
my god, he's unreal.
yeah,
I love him.
Did he voice Kane?
God, yeah. You are reborn, and it's like, oh my god.
Oh my
Yeah, I was a
God, I'm
big
gonna
fan
have
of
to play-
the Soul Reaver series. I liked Soul Reaver more than I liked Legacy of Kain. And when I found out that it was Amy Hennig that directed those, I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense because Soul Reaver is so much more of a Uncharted style action platformer. You think back now and if you look at Soul Reaver, it's a very similar game to Uncharted.
Mhm.
And it's a big open world, like third person survival. Well, not survival, but adventure platformer. And I
just
loved
so-
those games.
I would
So
do
the-
anything to work with her.
Amy Hennig, oh my god, same. I would just make coffee for her. I don't care.
I'd do anything.
Just let me absorb your greatness. Like, let me just
I'd
be
be a
around you.
footstool for her. I don't care.
Yeah, just I will do whatever you want, Amy Hennig.
You know what
That's it,
game?
everybody. That's out there on the podcast right now. Like, that's out in the public domain. I will do whatever you want.
Genuinely, Amy, get in contact. I will do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Please,
Follow.
please find us.
You know what game could have used Amy Hennig's influence is Bassmasters 2000. Boom, segue.
Yeah,
Nice.
Love
very
that,
good
Dan.
topic,
Well
Luke.
done.
because that's the game they
Try-
played on Retro Replay this week, and there's like no plot to it. It's just you fish.
These are
It's a terrible game. Like, I wouldn't be able to play. Although to be fair, I was just about to say I don't think I would be able to play a game without a plot. However, I'm a big fan of The Sims, and that does not have a plot either.
True.
Yeah, you
So,
don't do anything in that.
so I guess
that's
it's
the
the same.
most important part of Bassmaster.
I mean, that's usually the case for most sports games too. Is you just do the thing that you're there to do. You don't
Yeah.
really need much else.
I never really got sports games though. I'm just kind of like, why don't you just go out and do it then? Like, why
Right.
don't you go out and really fish?
That's literally what Nolan said to Troy in that episode. He's like,
Yeah, like
"Why wouldn't you just go out and do it?"
like I get that. I feel like I don't know. I'm just like that. Obviously, I get the appeal because we can't like you can't do all that stuff. Like you can't be Booker DeWitt in this floating city in real life. So you're gonna play it, right? You're not gonna be able to do that. But you could literally go outside and kick a ball around if you want to play soccer or if you want to. But I do get it. It's not really the same, but it kind of is. Fishing, just go
Yeah.
fishing.
That's
Grab
like,
yourself a rod.
all games are about suspending
Get
your
out there.
disbelief and getting yourself into this other world where you can pretty much do anything as long as you're in tune with what you're playing as in the game. So when you get things like Bassmasters and stuff like that, you just go and I mean that you don't have to suspend your disbelief. You can literally go out and see it in reality. So
Yeah.
it's a bit strange for me, but at the same time, like sports games, I kind of get it because you get a lot of kind of there is a term for it, and I can't think what it is, so I won't waste your time. But people on the sidelines who kind of love to say what to do but don't actually do it, and that is who the game is aimed at.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say it's something that I've looked into before. It's a matter of like living vicariously through other people's actions, and because I did some research into that as far as like because people who don't play video games, they don't understand video games, especially like streaming. You get those types that why would you watch somebody play the game? Why don't you just play it yourself? And looking into it, it's the same matter as people who watch sports. You got people who really love football or they really love baseball or soccer, whatever the sport you're into, and you watch it and you get excited and you root for your team, and it's because you get this sense of accomplishment through watching it. And it's the same case when people watch streaming of video games. You get that same sense of satisfaction and that same feelings. And I've made that argument to people who said to me, like, why would you just watch somebody play the game? Like, well, do you watch football? Oh, of course I watch football. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I mean, to be fair, like maybe it's just the fishing thing that I didn't really get.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a
guess,
sport, like I wouldn't play a baseball game, and I certainly wouldn't watch somebody play a baseball game because I think baseball is terribly boring.
Really?
I
like
hate baseball. It's so boring.
I guess we're never going to a game.
Nope.
Nope.
I'll go to a basketball game. Basketball is fun.
Really? Okay.
See, there you go. Boom.
Can we go to an American football game? Will you take me to an American football game?
Sure.
Awesome. I've like.
Wait, what? Am I taking you somewhere? What?
Yeah, it's like, wait, what am I agreeing to here?
I like that you had to specify American football. Like I wouldn't know what you meant.
Well, yeah. If we were talking about football, I don't think that you think that I'm talking about the same thing you are. That was
Right.
really complicated.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
because you know that I said that he said that you know.
Yeah. I'm talking about like soccer. I'm talking about like picking a ball around.
Well, I understand the area of the world that you live in and that soccer is football over there. So if you said football, I know you mean soccer.
Well, you just never know. I have to clarify. And for people who are listening, that might be over.
Yeah, some people aren't the sharpest.
Oh,
Sorry.
so everyone okay?
Burn.
But I would get like, I mean, FIFA and stuff like that. I used to be like, why would you play that? Or like when you play NBA and all this, you're like, why would you play that on a game when you could just go outside and do that?
Well, I can't dunk.
No, exactly. That's the thing. Like I kind of get that now. Like what they do is a really amazing sport, and what they do with their bodies of that. So I kind of understand putting that into a video game, and then you're now expressing it, and you're playing as part of your team, and it's really good online game for other people, and you're playing teams against teams and stuff like that. And it's all about tactics, and it kind of does play to your strategies and stuff. So I actually do get that. I used to rip the piss out of people who played sports games all the time until I actually sat down and was was like, oh, why do you play this? And then I realized, I was like, oh, I get it now. So anybody out there who's playing football and FIFA and who are into esports, congratulations. Like, it's all good.
Not to get too
It's
psychoanalytical on the subject too, but you could apply that same theory and perspective to fighting games, shooting games, anything. Because it's
true.
like you want to go into a video game and shoot a bunch of bad guys, but you don't want to grab a real gun and run around blasting your neighbors.
No, I feel it's totally the same thing because it's a complete suspension of disbelief. Like it's completely putting you into of a different world. Whereas if you're playing FIFA and you're like matching Liverpool and Man United or something like that,
Yeah,
like
but you can't physically do that in real life, though.
no, you can't physically do that, but they are real things
It's a
in
real
real life.
scenario, yes, but it's not real for
Dangerously
most
not
people.
real. Like the Last of Us situation is not real. That post-apocalyptic shit did not happen.
Hey, people make awesome like simulations of all these things all the time. Like there's airsoft, and there's the paintball, and people create physical, real life versions of video games. I mean, it's obviously non-lethal and they make it safe, but they create it somehow.
Yeah, which
Where's
is
the
much
fun
better.
in that? I'm joking.
Yeah,
You gotta have the risk of death.
it is funny though because like
Okay.
yeah, just that little risk of death would be nice. That's really up the ante.
Get the blood
That
pumping.
kind of like the risk of death. One of the most disappointing games I ever played was Beyond Two Souls, especially because I was super into it.
That game.
I
I've
wanted
seen it.
so
I've played
bad,
the first chapter, but I've not played the whole game.
but there's no risk of death. Like no matter what you do, you're not going to do anything wrong. You're basically watching a film and occasionally helping her out by making sure she doesn't stumble.
I get bored with those kind of games. That's also why I don't like Until Dawn too much, because I feel like it's a similar style of game.
Sure. Yeah.
But Detroit is so good, and they kind of completely they brought themselves back from the brink for me because I loved Fahrenheit, I loved Heavy Rain. There were some things wrong with it, but like, so what? There's some things are wrong with all games. But when I played Beyond, like, I love Willem Dafoe, I love Ellen, forgotten her name,
Paige.
And I actually wrote an article on it at the time because I was thinking, well, games are all about suspending your disbelief. Why would we want people who we know and we're going to think all the time that's Willem Dafoe?
Dafoe.
But then when I was playing it, I loved it. They were so good. But I hated the game itself. And I was like, I thought the game was going to be amazing, but I would hate, the characters. So really,
I think that was how it was generally received as well. People thought that it was going to be brilliant, and it wasn't received very well. Am I right in saying that?
I agree. I think you're right.
Yeah, because I mean, I played probably the first couple of chapters, and then I lost interest, and I was like, meh, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But with Detroit, I did finish the game, and I did make those decisions. And I think you're right, Wendy. It's because like when you don't have that risk of failure, it's a bit hard. Whereas like in Detroit, like like your characters can die, and they will just end that storyline, and you'll continue on with a different storyline. So there is a risk there, or more like a playable feature where you can go down a multitude of paths that can actually lead to your characters finishing their story early. And
absolutely.
So yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
Oh yeah, that's
So
a
you
core
think that's
element of game design.
Yeah, but I do think like any risk of some sort of failure, like people always thought that the Telltale games would be the similar thing where you can't die in them, but you can. Like I died twice because quick time events are not my thing. I am not very good at them, so I died twice, and people were watching on the stream being like, "You can die in these games." I was like, "Shut up, leave me alone."
Was that in Batman?
Yes, yeah, Batman Telltale series.
I love that you say you're not into QuickTime games and you've played games that are pretty much entirely wrapped around.
Literally, that's all those games are.
Yeah, and do you know what? I was really excited to play Batman Telltale series because I heard the story was good, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be great, and I'm excited to play these. And the company is no longer a business, so it's probably hard to get these games now. So let me go ahead and play this. And then I started to quickly realize that it was all QuickTime events, and I was like, oh no, I am terrible at QuickTime, as exemplified by the fact that I died twice.
Yeah, they're basically visual novels. All the Tales games.
But
it's like playing a part of a graphic novel. It's really good fun.
But I will say, like, I mean, to be fair, Layers of Fear doesn't seem to have that risk of death. Like, it doesn't seem like you could die, but you can get like I don't know, like you can get stuck in loops, or you could do things like that, but there's no actual like death or checkpoint. So that's interesting, but it was still enticing to play.
Yeah, that means the team balanced it really well.
Yeah, they really did. That game's amazing. We've done nothing but promote that game. They should sponsor us.
Hey, Bloober.
Sponsor me, there's fear. Jesus.
Hey, Bloober
Uh,
Interactive, give us a shout.
give us a shout out. But yeah, like I think the risk of death isn't always necessary, but maybe some sort of risk of failure.
Risk of something like
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
pushes you forward rather than just going, I'm just going to put my controller down and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Bassmaster, the idea is you put your controller down and occasionally reel them in.
Come on. Bassmaster 2000. What a game.
Yeah.
Why make that? Like,
Oh, I mean, you gotta make games for somebody, and
suppose.
I think I understand the struggle that Drew went with for that episode because, like, we had Troy, he did the plot, and he's just like, there's nothing to say about this game, and I'm assuming I came across the same stuff that Drew did because when I searched this game, it's like, oh, Bassmasters 2000. It was developed by Mass Media. It was published by THQ. It's a bass fishing game that was released on the 64.99, and it features things like multiple camera views, real lakes,
Okay.
4 skill levels, and advice by Shaw Grisby, whoever that is. That's it.
God.
That's all the information there is on this
Another
game.
legend.
I mean, it just sounds like I want to go play it.
I mean, right?
Multiple
already
camera
bought it.
views?
So
Oh,
many
that's
camera
great.
views.
Get in there.
That customization was the most interesting part of it because they were having such a good time, like basically taking the piss and doing all that. And that reminds me of The Sims, where basically
Right?
play, you make your characters, you make your house, and you spend fucking thousands because you always put the cheats in.
Obviously,
And then you get off.
Yeah, you're done.
then you're done. As soon as you've made
Moves
your
to a new
house and
family.
everything, and people are actually starting to interact, you're like, oh, I want to go back and make another family. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
One of those, like, you get into it, you play it for like 4 hours straight, and then you come off, and the next time you start again from scratch, and you never think that's
No,
the thing.
that's always what happens to me. I have like 60 families on my Sims game. I'm like, I should really delete these so I could get some more properties. Like, what are you doing in that place anyway? Just bulldoze everything. I don't care. But yeah, it's at least it has something a bit more, not plot lined, but whatever. But like your characters are dying or dead or can be dead.
Yeah,
Like
the
you can
risk is
kill
that-
them. So I feel like you can, not that you should, listeners, like not that you should kill any of your Sims characters.
That's
ever.
all people do. What are you talking about? That's all
Don't
anybody
be
does is
locked
murder
in
their
your room
Sims.
Getting social bunny. You know the social bunny that comes in when somebody has spoken to somebody else in a while.
Sims
Wish
2
that
is
was real
best
life.
for that,
That'd
because they
be
all
great.
start going like a little bit mad, and then the social bunny comes up and like follows them around because
Yeah.
they're mad. And then like when they're swimming and you take out the thing and they're like, I don't know how to get out of the pool without steps. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And they just die, and the Grim Reaper shows up.
yeah.
And then you can plead with the Grim Reaper, and then they come back, but they're like zombies or ghosts. So yeah, it's interesting. It does have interesting plot lines somewhere in the game, whereas this Bass Masters 2000 is just chuck your line out, and maybe if it goes red or whatever, you've got one, and reel them in. Like, great job.
I will
Like,
I will say that I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a really good one. It had some good jokes. It had a good balance of game and tangents and silliness.
yeah,
And I feel like it's been a better episode than we've gotten in the last couple weeks, maybe.
agreed. I actually agree with that.
I wasn't sure why they were playing it. Because I feel like they generally play games that are recommended. Like they ask us to tell them what to play. They say it in the end of every end of every episode. What do we play next? And usually people write in, play this, play this, play this. So who is the brilliant scientist that said, please play Bassmasters 2000? And they said, okay, let's do that.
Be on tangents instead.
Yeah.
Somebody was like, do you know what? Like, I know a game that is so dull they will have no choice but to speak.
I have a theory. As to why they play that game.
I think it's just Drew, but go ahead.
I think it's because it's a very Nolan game.
It is a Nolan game.
Yeah.
I think
that is a good point.
I think that they chose it because they knew Nolan would get into it and Troy would hate it.
Yeah.
Add a little bit of friction, keep it going.
Yeah, because usually it's the other way around. Usually Troy's very aware of the game. He's played it before, and it's Nolan trying to figure it out and watching him die a bunch. But as we saw in that episode, Nolan was killing it, and he was loving it. And Troy was just like, "This sucks. This is the worst. I'm so bored. I can't catch a fish." And he even
Yeah.
states in the beginning of the show, he was like, not gonna lie, I've never caught a fish in real life, but he's like, now I'm gonna catch a fish, and he still didn't catch one.
It won't break the
Sad.
streak. Nobody wants to go on the end of that hook. I'm sorry. The fish run in the other direction. The fish go towards Noli's bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the replays are like, I'll grab your hook, please.
Yeah, yeah. Hook me.
I'm all about Nolan, to be fair.
Troy,
so,
the
but,
thirst is
yeah.
real.
The thirst is very real in that group. Sorry, Dad.
I don't know how that turned into thirsting for Nolan, but okay, I'll take it.
You were on a podcast with other women.
I know, it's good.
Welcome to the show. A thirst for Nolan and Troy.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to the party. That was weird. Hook me. Nolan. But yeah, I think Nolan did enjoy this game a lot better than he's probably enjoyed other games. And I think it was pretty funny where like Troy was taking forever in the customization of the character, and then Nolan was taking forever to pick like the bait. Or like, like the fishing. Oh, that was
Yeah, the
great.
laws.
He was really having fun with that because he's done it. He's been there. He's done all the fishing stuff and the fishing stuff. That's how well I know.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like it's a Nolan game, so he could get into it. He could relate to it.
Yeah, I think it was really nice. I think it was a really nice episode. It was a wholesome episode too. Like the wholesome bit at the end. Oh, I was gonna cry.
I wonder if they're trying to balance out from the RoboCop episode, because that one was naughty.
That's probably one of my favorite episodes. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's just classic.
I just immediately pictured Troy like shaking his head, going, "No, no, no." After they said the things they said, he was like, "Yeah, we shouldn't have done that."
I don't think we should say it on the podcast, but yeah, it's pretty funny. Listeners are welcome to go see that if they haven't seen it. It's on the Retro Replay.
Yeah,
YouTube channel.
we've mentioned it on the show. It's been said.
Oh, hilarious.
Just have to do a little rip back to previous episodes.
But the only thing is, like, I mean, I love that they're given other games. Like they've done this before with another game where like Drew is like, you have so much content here, and they go on a tangent that's like pornographic or something like that, and then poor Drew is just like, you had so much content, like you had to go and take it somewhere else. Like, to be fair, it's not like they had lots of content with Bassmasters, but they did end up somehow on a pornographic journey about their about their sexual escapades in their youth, which was very funny, very interesting. And then it just like quickly followed by some really authentic, wholesome content about Nolan's
Right.
grandpa's shirt, and I was like,
I feel like they've been talking about porn quite a bit lately.
what can they do?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, they were talking about his shirt, and then it was like, oh, what kind of, like, what's the worst sex you ever had? And he talks about his granddad, and then he goes on to the sex. Like, it kind of encapsulates, like, which is pretty much like a good metaphor for the show. Like,
yeah, it was like
family
and in the pornographic discussion, and then let me talk about my grandfather, and now let me go back to the pornographic discussion. Yeah.
The way Uncle Noli's brain works.
So wholesome.
Perfect.
I just wanted to cry. I was like, please, somebody please hug Nolan. That's just amazing.
I mean, he didn't seem sad about it.
No, but I just think like I would hug him after that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd hug him anyway.
Yeah,
Of course.
He had all the
No,
hugs.
but like he was talking about like how this shirt, and then Troy had basically was like, this shirt has seen you through, prep school, college, getting married, moving to New York, moving to LA, all this kind of stuff. And it's just so sweet because it's like a piece of his grandfather is with him all through this and through his journey. And I'm like, this is going to make me just cry. And I'm so sure somebody repairs it, Frank, because so wholesome. That man, everybody. Nolan North, everybody. Breaking hearts all around the world.
Kind of helps, like, I know there's a lot of stuff going on with like the replayers with like family members and stuff like that as well. So like a lot of it was going on. And I was like, oh my god, I hope you guys are okay, because like I'm not very close to my family apart from like my little girl. Everyone else is kind of like meh, so I don't get that as much. But
yeah, but it is so sweet. Like, I mean, can you imagine like taking your little girl's like clothes or whatever, like a jumper or something like that, or a scarf that she's always had. Do you know what I mean? And just like it's with you wherever you go forever for like the rest of your life. I just think it's really sweet. Like it's like such a lovely touch.
Well, I've got a blanket that I started crocheting when I was pregnant, and it's still not finished, but it's fucking huge.
That's so nice though. That's such a lovely thing.
Gonna give it to her when she's older, I think. Even though it starts off terribly, you can tell I'd never crocheted before. It's like all the squares are like kind of slowly going outwards and stuff like that. So like by the end of it, you can see these nice like even squares, and you'd be like, right, that's when it started, that's when it finished. Here's a massive blanket for you to take to uni or wherever you want to go.
Do you know what though? That is like it doesn't even matter about the quality of the crochet. Like it's the love and the time that's been put into it. Oh, Wendy, so cute.
I hope she likes it as much as you do.
Oh, she will.
Fuck is this? Fuck off, mum.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
What the hell is this? I don't need this. It's the middle of summer.
Oh,
Stop embarrassing me, Mom.
Yeah. I'm a
Dude,
junior, mum. I don't know why she's got an American accent.
Yeah. Why not? Wendy, it's the future. Like,
Taking the piss.
taking the piss. Sorry, Dad.
Well, not
Sorry.
saying making fun of me, but making fun of your mom by giving her an American accent.
Oh.
My
Make
dad's
fun of
got an
her.
American accent though, so it kind of makes sense.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
She's got quite a Wigan accent because she lives with her dad at the moment in Wigan.
Oh.
Came back with a pie the other day, and I was like, "What have you got there?" She went, "Tater pie."
Yeah, so cute. Kids with accents are just adorable.
Yeah,
Like, so
absolutely.
cute. But I was at my grandmother's house, and she had a friend that was bringing her granddaughter over, and she was 4, and she knocked on the door. The 4-year-old knocked on the door, and I answered, and I was like, "Hello, how are you? Like, how are you today?" And she just went, "Not too bad," and then just walked into the room. You're 4. How bad can you be? It's just a colloquialism in Dublin that happens where people are just like, not too bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, not too bad. And this 4-year-old said it to me, and I'm like, wow. Kid, wait until you're older.
It's usually my go-to response when somebody asks me how it's going. I'm just like, nah, not too bad.
Really? That's
yeah.
nah.
That's just my go-to response.
My daughter, like, she was in the car in the back in a seat. She's about 2 years old. I'm dropping her off at her dad's, and I said, she's looking out the window. I go, "You all right, Jamie? What are you looking at?" She goes, "Life." Is it good? She went, "Yeah, yeah."
Aw.
How did I get such like a philosophical 2-year-old?
So,
She's 4 now, and she's not so philosophical. More as like I'm gonna do what I like, and you're gonna have to deal with it, and I have to chase her around because she's super strong-minded. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a common 4-year-old.
yeah.
absolutely. Like, especially girls. I think girls are very much like lads are very much mummy's girls, and girls are always like daddy's mummy's girls, mummy's boys, and daddy's girls. So
Yeah.
like obviously she is a sweetheart, to be fair. I've been very lucky with her, but she still has those moments where she's just like, no, don't you dare, like, and try to convince her to just not do something when she's like, but I'm gonna.
Oh my god.
I love it. I love it.
Calling it like it is.
Yeah. Kid sounds badass.
She's gonna be such a shit when she gets older.
Or she's such a badass.
Yeah, this is true. Sorry, I'm talking about my daughter a lot. Carry on.
Oh, it's so cute. Hold
All
us
good.
up then.
But if
Hold us up.
anything, I can always bring it back to I have to acknowledge the fact that they gave a huge shout out to Kessie on this week's episode.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yes, they did. Heck yeah.
Like, actually showed a clip of her on their show for every 150 to 160,000 people to see that are subscribers.
It's so
And
cool. And if
that
anybody's,
is amazing.
yeah, if anybody's listening and wants to know more about the story about how Cassie got on stage and how she felt and like all of her experience at MCM Manchester, that is available on special episode 2 of the Repair podcast on our YouTube channel. So you're
That's
more than
right.
welcome to have it there. It's on the MCM meetup.
Check it out.
Pagan
episode
talks to Kessie and her experience on that episode.
Yes, I do. And she goes through everything about how she felt being on stage and how that moment. And do you know what I mean? I wasn't even there. I was listening through live chat, and it just sounded like one of the most amazing moments that will probably define Kessie's life. I mean, can you imagine getting to
Oh,
sing
yeah.
with your idol? Like, and you know what? As far as I know, like, I mean, I had spoken to Kessie before about how she found out about Troy and Nolan, etc. And I think she actually found Troy through his music first.
Really?
Like she had been listening to Troy Baker's album, and then that's sitting in the fire. Is that right? A Window to the Abbey. Yeah, and I think she then realized like that he was a video game artist, and like he was in every single video game that she played over the last whatever 10 years. And she's like, oh shit, this guy can sing. um, yeah, so that's I think Cassie is more than welcome to quote me if I'm wrong, but I think that she found him through music. So can you imagine like just I don't know, just being with your idol and actually not only getting recognition for the fact that she's an incredible singer. Kessie's voice is just incredible,
Mm.
and then he like is okay, is happy enough to like bring her up on stage and they sing a song together. Like, damn, wholesome content.
Yeah.
Wholesome.
That says a lot about
That's
Troy
so
too, and like
perfect.
how appreciative he is of fans, and the fact that he'd be willing to do that with a fan, and
Yeah.
then even shout it out on their show. You know, that's like a network or national,
Hmm.
international show.
Yeah.
They love
You know,
Manchester, though. I know that much because they were talking about that in the game chat on the Saturday, and they were saying like Manchester's kind of where they started doing the retro replay live.
yeah.
And they come up with a lot of content ideas while they're here, and they just love being here, which is great because obviously we want them here.
Yeah. Keep coming back.
Yes.
Yeah. I think like I mean it does show that like he wasn't at all precious about a performance. I mean like I think he's heard her sing before and everything like that, but he didn't need to. Like, no one needs to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one needs to include someone
Yeah.
else on your show, and it just shows that he's like super lovely.
Troy's super into the retro replays of fans and stuff like that, which is really nice, I think, because I know Nolan generally like doesn't do as many shout outs on Twitter and stuff like that. I'm sure he's like there's a good reason he's busy and all the rest of it, but
Mm,
Troy's big on like bigging up everyone. Like he wants everyone to do the best they can do. And to be fair, so does Nolan. But like I think he's a bit more vocal about it.
yeah,
Especially like on Twitter when he's retweeting people when they sing and stuff like that because he loves it. He loves
yeah,
sort of being with everyone and things. So
yeah. I think it's hard not to as well. Like, it's hard not to be in the public eye and the public forum and have like 150,000 plus subscribers on YouTube, and then have people come up to you, thousands of people during the day, or thousands of people over the course of 2 days at the weekend, and give every single one of those people, a good bit of your attention. Like
yeah,
that really does say something about who you are as a person, and you have to commend Troy and Nolan because I'm sure they're wrecked. I'm sure they're jet lagged. They're traveling without family. Like I'm sure that's super hard,
yeah,
and it's really nice, and it really does say a lot about who they are and their character as people when they give the time to
yeah,
us players, I guess, when we meet them and they make us feel like it's okay, like you're not taking up too much of their time, because I feel like that's how a lot of us feel when we
yeah,
go up and we want something signed. We're like, oh my god, I don't want to take up too much of your time, I'm so sorry to bother you, and they just make you feel like you're not bothering them at all, like you're just saying hello and they're old friends. And
yeah, absolutely.
you know,
Because I mean, I think I said it on the special podcast as well. Because I said like you could go up like I didn't luckily, but you could go up with like hundreds of people behind you in a line, knowing that you're just one of the many thousands of faces that they're just going to see that day.
yeah,
Who the fuck am I to you? But the way they talk to you and the way they look at you, like you feel like you are so goddamn special to them,
yeah,
no matter what you do. And it's such a nice feeling to go up and chat with them, and they can talk about anything because they're very charismatic guys as well.
yeah,
And you feel so appreciated in that moment for just being a fan, and then you walk away and they're probably going to the next person and being the exact same with them, but you
yeah.
feel like so good, you're just walking on air by the time you're finished.
Yeah, and you know what? It's also like commendable to like I'd say maybe Troy a bit more than Nolan, but like they do recognize the replayers that are on the live chat, that are constantly there, that are constantly donating, that are having a presence, and they're always talking. They join in for the premieres as well because they'll recognize you um by your moniker on YouTube.
Yeah.
Um,
They asked who I was, and I was like, well, I'm Red Fox on the Discord, but I'm just Wendy Young because I'm boring on YouTube.
Yeah. You see, this is the thing. Like, I think like they really do know. Like, I think Troy met Emily, who is Scaldy Panda. I think we've already mentioned this before in the podcast, but she did like she met him on the Saturday when he was here in Dublin, and it was kind of a good meeting. And then the second day, Tina Kavanagh, shout out to Tina Kavanagh, who is a replayer as well. She was stewarding for the con, and she said, "Oh, Scaldy, how are you?" And Troy just went, "Scaldy Panda." oh my god, because he recognized her by her moniker on YouTube because she's constantly at live chat, she's constantly donating, she's there, and she's always present. So I feel like obviously they don't know who you are if you're just coming in and you're like, hey, I'm pagan, but my YouTube name could be something else. Yeah, because it's just so nice, and it's that recognition that they give to replayers, and that the fact that they are watching, they're commenting, they know, they see you, and it's really nice, and it really does say a lot to them about who they are as people. And what Troy did for Kessie at MCM Manchester was just one of those things that makes him as a performer outstanding. And it really gave Kessie a nice little stage to showcase her talents, and she's incredibly talented. And she's on Twitter and she's on YouTube. Everybody, she's at the Kessie Bear YouTube channel. If you want to go and check her out, she does some singing, and she has some songs up there as well, mashups, and they're incredible. So yeah, it's pretty great.
A little bit of extra for
Pretty
anyone who
big shout out.
sees Kessie on the show and then they're like, "Who's this person?" And
Yeah.
we can help you find her, and so you can learn a little bit about her.
Now we can help you find her. You can go and have a listen to how her experience went down on the special episode of the Replayer podcast on YouTube. It's really nice that happened for her, and that we got the chance to sit down with her and talk to her about it. It was really cool. It was a really cool moment. Thanks, Britt. How are you feeling?
I was gonna say, Britt, are you falling asleep?
Yeah.
No, I'm here.
And Britt, it must be like the 12 o'clock there now.
It is.
Oh God.
Keeping
You're
you
such
up.
a trooper. Thank you so much. Like, you're so
Oh,
cute.
thank you for having me.
The downside of being an international podcast, across the world.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Time
American.
zones always getting in the road.
Irish lady and a Brit.
Yeah, why not? I feel like that's like the premise to a joke, like a really bad.
Got to a podcast and
yeah. And tangents ensued, like the podcast failed. Like, yeah.
An Aussie, an American, a Brit, and an Irish lady walk into a pub.
Yeah.
They have a pint and have tangents.
Yeah, I have a pint and a tangent, and we have to have pints and tangents with Nolan and Troy. That'd be class.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Which reminds me of the beginning of the episode when Uncle Noli was telling us his story about getting drunk in Manchester before going to the Troy show.
Great.
You were really good, man.
That's how stories go. I was getting drunk in a pub in Manchester.
Yeah.
And shit.
Yeah.
It's fun to think that Nolan was just wandering around Manchester, popping into pubs and having pints. And
Yeah. You know what though? Like, the rain was torrential. Oh my God, unbelievable. Because after Manchester Comic Con on the Sunday, we all decided to go to Token? No, not Token. That's Dublin. We went to N6.
N6 was our QN6.
N6.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
I think that was called. And we went there, and it was lashing rain. Like, I mean, puddling down. It was crazy. And you know what? Scaldy Panda was so cute. I didn't have a hoodie or anything, so she gave me her hoodie, even though that left her with no hoodie. I know, she's freaking wholesome. Shout out to Scaldy. And we walked there, and we were all drenched. It was right by Scaldy and Janine's hotel where they were staying. And I think other people were staying there as well. And they went up to the room, and they could get changed into nice warm dry clothes. And I was standing there like outside, and I was absolutely soaked. Like, everything is dripping wet. That's how bad it was. So I understand how Nolan needed to duck into the hotel, and then need to duck into other pubs. Like, that would be my way of trying to get back to MCM. Like, let's just keep ducking into pubs, grabbing a pint and going. Like, you have to try and do it, because otherwise he would have been soaked.
I guess I'm kind of used to it because I live here, so I'm just like, wet. All right, take out a big coat.
That's the state of being, is just wet.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm from Ireland. We're no stranger to the cold and the wet and the rain. But just the way it came down, it just came out of nowhere, and it just
will have that effect.
hammered.
If
Yeah.
you step outside the city, it never does that. Like, it's always like just grey.
That's what New York feels like most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just gray all the time.
Oh, that's really sad.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Aw.
You just be like,
Brit lives in a wonderland.
Yeah. The only thing that ruins Australia is the spiders.
I'll protect you against them, Wendy, don't worry.
Thank you.
She's a master spider killer, this one.
Have to be if you live in Australia.
This is the thing, Britt. Like my fiance would never, or well, I'm pretty sure he will want to one day. But like Australia and New Zealand, like terrified, absolutely terrified of the stuff that's all trying to kill you, like insects, spiders,
Talk
snakes.
to Robbie, everything, even the koala they're after you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not the koalas. I thought I was at least safe from the koalas.
That is your
They'll
in
get
there,
you
Britt.
too.
You sort all that shit out, and we'll be right down.
Yeah.
I'll be your like bodyguards, and you
That's
won't
why
worry
people go
about
to
it.
New Zealand, because New Zealand's like the less extreme version with more mountains. Like that's what I get. It's like,
You would think, but, like, isn't there like the most dangerous spiders in the world in New Zealand? Pretty sure.
We'd
Is that
have to
something
ask.
They
Sam.
got a platypus, right?
I will.
Platypi.
That's Australia.
Platypi.
okay.
I wonder if that's really like a term for a group of platypuses thing.
Like
Platypi. I
plural.
think it is.
Oh, you mean like a swarm? A swarm of platypi?
People think that the plural of octopus is octopi, but I believe it's octopuses.
It is octopuses, yes.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
maybe it'd be platypuses.
So it probably would be octopuses. Yeah.
Platypi.
Platypi.
I think it's platypi. I could be wrong.
No way. I feel like it's platypuses. Same as octopus.
All right, we'll use that as a rule of thumb.
Say,
That
Yeah.
sounds
But,
nice.
to be fair, both are quite fun to say. Platypi and platypuses.
This
Mhm.
is how we segued. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
where we ended up from Kessie being on stage at MCM Manchester. The platypuses and octopus. You're
Well,
welcome, Reef There
it comes full circle back to the platypus trophies that Greg's working on.
That's true, actually. Nice way to bring it around. Make it relevant.
Topic Luke's down.
I've never gotten a platinum trophy. I think actually, hold up a minute.
Hold
I
up.
Hold up a minute. I think I've gotten one.
I think I
platinum
have
trophy
two.
from The Telltale games.
Yeah, you
Telltale
definitely
Batman.
have the Telltale game. It's the easiest platinum.
Yes.
Yeah, you just have to finish the game.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Pagan.
Yay! Thanks for it.
Little cheerleader.
I couldn't even platinum. I haven't even platinumed Spider-Man. I really should. It's an easy platinum. Man, such a great game.
I could throw out the Altered Beast when you.
Yeah, definitely need to.
I think I've.
There you go.
Like, Tomb Raider 2 had like trophies at the time. I would definitely have platinum that because I've just got everything.
Oh, really?
I love it.
Yeah. I
Uh,
feel like
I've also platinumed Legend and Anniversary, I want to say, or is it Underworld? It'd be Underworld. Probably.
Damn, girl.
yeah, I don't know how many times I've finished Legend. Like that was
Tomb Raider.
I did that so many. Yeah, Tomb Raider Legend. Oof, I was so
It's
good
actually
at that game.
really easy to platinum, to be fair, as well. So.
Brag.
Oh, I was a little child. Okay, it was hard for a child.
I was a small
Sorry about, like,
girl.
first
That makes me feel even extra awkward. I was gonna share the story of I played through Tomb Raider Legend more as a backseat gamer because it was my ex that was playing it and obsessed with it, and she would just have me take the control every time she got stuck. She'd be like, "Here, you do this."
That's how I started playing games. Like I would watch somebody else. I'd be a backseat gamer, and then eventually I started playing, and then I'd be like, "No, I can't do this bit. Will you do it? Because it's too hard."
Not that she listens to this, but if my ex happened to listen to this podcast and then messages me like, "Oh my god, I totally remember doing that," I'd be like, "Yep."
You just don't know who listens to it. Like we discovered that Scaldy Panda and I actually knew each other when we were like 16.
What?
Yeah, crazy. We used to go to the same. There used to be concerts, like local gigs here in Wexford town. That was kind of like metal and rock and a bit of punk, and it was just kind of like a place where we could go because we didn't do the disco thing. We weren't disco kids, so we did the rock bands and the gigs and stuff like that. And Panda lives 20 minutes away in Enniscorthy, and she's from she's from Enniscorthy. So in the Wexford, I guess, gigs, there would always be a crowd from Enniscorthy that would come down, and she was part of that crowd. And I knew of her. I just didn't know who she was, and she didn't know me. But yeah, apparently, like we've been to several of the same concerts when we were kids, like in the range of 14 to 16. Like we were
Oh man.
same years and stuff. So you just don't know who listens to this podcast, Dan. She could be listening. You just don't know.
She might. She knows it exists.
People are connected.
Send it out.
I kind of like that she knows that it exists and doesn't listen because of spite. Just
I
spite.
I don't see that happening. It might be with some of them, but not her.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh.
My bad. Prejudgment. Sorry, lady.
I don't know how I'd feel if I found like exes were listening to the podcast because I'd be like, yeah, Wendy still chat shit. That's about it.
I don't have any ex. Like really, I don't have an ex. Adam was like my first real boyfriend.
One and
Robert
done.
Smith?
Lucky pagan.
One and done. Lucky
Yeah.
me. 11 years later. 12 years. We'll be together 12 years when we get married.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
When's the wedding? Are we all invited?
Heck no.
I ain't paying for that.
Things are expensive.
No, remember you're gonna put the little you're gonna have a phone on the table
did
and the
say that,
Discord's
Brit.
all invited.
I did say that.
Um,
The Discord's invited and we'll live stream it. We can have a live chat.
I've got an excellent memory.
Do great. You're gonna hold me to that. It's next year. It's in
I am.
December.
Okay,
So,
I'll
yeah.
remember that too. On my
Yeah.
birthday.
But it's on my
Brit's
birthday.
making notes in her diary. Remind me to get her wedding.
Yeah, because not like you're going to be doing other stuff or anything. You're not
That's
busy. or
true. I don't have anything else to worry about that day. What up?
So I just thought of something. We do need to start wrapping up here pretty soon, but Britt, the last time you were on the show, did we ever ask you what you want to see Troy and Nolan play?
Can you be honest? I don't remember.
Oh, you just said you had an excellent memory. But I feel like we didn't. So I was actually gonna say I want to ask you and Wendy, what would you like to see the guys play? Anything in mind, retro wise or modern?
I'd want to see him play one of the Tomb Raider games because I mean I love
Like
them.
Tomb Raider 1 or 2?
Yeah.
2 would probably be better.
Yeah.
Or 1 just because it's so fiddly.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider
know,
1
that
was
would
so
be great.
janky.
We'd have some fun.
You know, that would be actually I think that would be a great episode for them to play Tomb Raider 1 because
Mhm.
1
Great.
Uncharted is heavily inspired by Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting to see Uncle Noli play the game that his franchise is kind of inspired by.
Agreed.
That's a good one. I like that.
Thank you.
So I know.
How about you, Wendy?
It might be either Metal Gear Solid
Ooh.
but the thing is they'll never finish that because you've got like however many hours of like just chat.
Oh, and they would endlessly talk
Sure.
about David Hayter because I'm sure they know David Hayter pretty well.
Or
Name
Abe's
drop.
Odyssey because I think Abe's Odyssey is hilarious for them to play.
Abe's Odyssey?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've never played that. My
we
fiance
talked
played
about
it.
Abe's Odyssey when Britt was on last time.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Just turning into birds like you all that.
I forgot about that, the chanting.
Oh,
Abe's Odyssey is coming back too. There's a new one in development.
Well,
No
they
way.
rebooted it, didn't they? So there's a full sort of rehashing of it online at the moment. So yeah, it's really good fun to play. I mean, it's just as awkward as it ever was because you're running and doing help and all that. It's just
Help!
hilarious.
Help! I have all those games too. I have all the Abe's games.
Yeah, it's so good. But I never got further than maybe heading outside the factory and then trying to run away from the scarabs, I think they were called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like some of those enemies are really tough.
Oh yeah, especially when you've got no way of like attacking them. You just have to.
Oh
run.
yeah, you just run or hide.
Yeah.
Oh, memories.
I think it would be interesting to watch them play either of those games, Metal Gear or Abe. I think would be fun.
Yeah.
They haven't really graduated to PlayStation 1 yet, other than Crash Bandicoot, I think. Is that correct? I think that's one of the only...
But it comes to level 3, probably.
Yeah, I mean, they've been playing some Nintendo 64. They've been playing some newer games. I mean, Bassmasters obviously was in 1999, and by then Metal Gear and Abe's Odyssey had come out.
True.
And Tomb Raider.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, I would say any one of those games would be good. That would make for some fun episodes.
They're all on
Yeah,
the
indeed. All right, Britt.
And
You
to be
sit
fair,
back down.
they could use cheats on Tomb Raider, so like that would probably be better for Troy, who likes cheats. So.
Mm.
Oh, he was so disappointed there were no cheats.
Oh.
Bless his little heart.
Are there cheat codes for Tomb Raider?
Yeah, you like turn around 3 times on the spot, left or right, and then jump backwards and stuff like that.
Really? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, you skip forward levels. You don't get anything though. Like it's just kind of.
Oh. Is there
I
any
suppose
like super big boobs cheat codes or anything?
there's one way you can make her explode. So I guess it's completely pointless beyond making Lara explode.
What?
Even though that would kind of defeat the purpose, because the original Tomb Raider's character model was very pointy and edgy. It would look really weird. Just have like giant pyramids on her chest.
Pointy Lara.
Pointy Lara.
That's so funny.
I have
Blocky
such a
body,
soft
pointy
spot
boobs.
for the original Lara and the rebooted Lana, but not so much the rebooted Lara.
So many Laras.
Well, we talked about
times in Spider-Man.
what we want them to play. Let's talk about what we've been playing, Wendy and Britt. Let's see what you guys have been up to. I know we've asked Britt the last time she was on. So, Wendy, what have you been up to? What games are you playing?
As usual. Well, I started about 2 weeks playing online with Yuvash and Nix, and it's kind of amalgamated now where everyone's like, I want to play with you guys, because basically I end up laughing so hard that I just wheeze my way through the night. But I have such a good time and I love it. And if anyone wants to play, it's just at Wendy Buffs, because I am all over that.
Yeah, you've been crushing that.
I'm now level 37.
Oof, you surpassed me.
Yes, girl.
Really obsessed with things over short periods of time and get like almost like so OCD focused on things, and then after a while it just kind of passes. Like I'll get bored of it and it'll just go away.
I've had my fill of that.
What have you been playing? Because I don't know what Britt's been playing because I wasn't
there. At the moment, lots of Red Dead Online with
right.
players. Yeah, you need to come on and do that, Wendy, because you were going to do it, and then
I've got it. I haven't installed it yet.
Oh, better get on that.
You got to get moving.
Yeah, which is fun.
What? It's like 100 gigs, something like that.
It's pretty big.
60 something. Yeah, it's pretty.
Because I've got. Well, I've installed a couple of things for John to play last night with his mate, but I delete those today because they're just standard games. But I've got about 100 gig free on my PS4, and it was like, you don't have enough space. It was just really mad at me. I was like, you know what? I can't be arsed. I like how my PS4 just throws hissy fits.
Yeah.
So it's mine, actually.
Yours yells at you, Britt. Hear your PlayStation yelling at you all the time.
Yeah, I do. We have a strenuous relationship.
Anything else?
What are you guys playing? Pagan, Dan?
Yeah.
I just completed Layers of Fear, so I shall be, I think, playing either Witcher 3 or Red Dead Redemption 2. But other than that, I think I'm going to start playing privately, like the Bioshock games. I wanted to try and stream it, but there doesn't seem to be a way to get past it that I can currently do. So I think I'm just going to start playing the Bioshock games and see what happens.
Oh, nice.
Do it, literally.
I was actually thinking about seeing if there's like a complete across the internet ban against like live or any kind of gameplay videos of Bioshock. Because I was thinking the other option you could do is record gameplay of Bioshock and then upload it to YouTube. But I'm wondering if they would block that too.
They block the recording.
They block it all.
They block the recording. I think like if you're trying to record it on your whatever it is PlayStation.
Well, I mean, using other means.
Yeah, I think if you upload it and stuff like that, I think potentially you could get it taken down.
Yeah,
but I think I wanted to stream it, but if I can't stream it, it's no problem. Like I still would like to experience the game personally, so I can just play it for fun on my end, and then I can stream something else like Red Dead or The Witcher 2 or something else. Like I wouldn't mind trying a Far Cry game as well. Like Far Cry would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
So I would like to play a game that I ain't never played before. I am going through Uncharted 2. I've started replaying that in preparation for their new Uncharted 2 episodes for Retro Replay. But Yeah, I mean, I enjoy replaying games, but I would like to experience something new now.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Don? What are you
Mhm.
playing?
I am all over the place.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that I have a massive library and I can't like it's hard for me to settle on anything, but I'm gonna continue doing my Lost Legacy live stream charity fundraiser. So I'll be doing that. I'm trying to do at least once a week.
Okay.
I do stream random other things. Like last night, I was playing some Paladins. So I'm trying to get into more of the kind of like streamable fun games like Paladins. I just reinstalled Warframe and Apex Legends. I don't know if
Cool.
I'm actually going to get around to playing them. I have too many games. I have still been playing Uncharted. Like I said, I'm all over the place.
Playing all the games.
I have a million games to play. I have Assassin's Creed Odyssey to start.
Oh yeah, I'm still going with that.
So many games to play and not enough time.
I love that
The
one.
struggle.
I've got Red Dead to play with you guys. I've got Spider-Man, which John bought for me, but I've not played it yet.
So great. Please play it.
I need to finish Kingdom Hearts 2 so then I can go into Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oof. That's a tall order.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of time of me probably not doing a great deal of work.
You're entitled to a break.
I work most of the time, don't I? Whenever I'm on Discord, everyone's like, "What are you up to?" And I'm like, working.
Yeah. You deserve a break.
I'm quite lucky that I work for myself so that I can just go on Discord though and be like, "Guys, distract me from bike paths."
I love the
I don't
stuff
like
you write
Brits,
about.
it's like, you know what I'm working on.
Good times.
Oh.
And by the way, at the moment it's meat injectors.
Wow. Holy crap.
Really now?
It's like bizarrely kind
Oh
of
my.
I've got a bunch of like medical ones to write. I've got the article that was sent to you, Pagan.
Yes.
I've got I'm so late with that. They're gonna be like, "What's going on with this?" I'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've been busy." But I've also got those 4 web pages for a recruitment company to do, so I'm kind of all over the place with everything. And I have 4 games to play, so obviously they kind of take priority.
Yeah. Prioritize what makes you money, man.
Mm-hmm.
Games can come later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Gotta make the money. Gotta make the moolah.
Them dollar bills, yo.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I didn't even think about all the retro games I've just been getting too. Like I just got like 3 Tomb Raider games on PS2, but I don't know if I'm actually gonna play them. There's not enough time in the world to do all that.
No.
Play them.
I know, but I can't.
You only do it on 3 hours, Mickey.
Anywho, I think we pretty much covered everything. So does anybody have anything else they want to shout out before we move on and wrap things up?
Nah.
Nah.
Get play started online against each other. Let's do it.
Yes. Online gaming. Yes. I have just gone into this.
Yeah, Pagan's got to get in on that more.
Yeah, I'd like to do more, but actually.
Do it.
Alright.
All right, so we already kind of got Wendy's idea there. Do you have any thing you want to shout out, Wendy, as far as like socials, anything where people can find you if you want to do that?
Wendy baps across the board, so just go nuts.
Just anything and everything. It's kind of like me.
My business page is much more serious, but like I don't want everyone and anyone adding me because it's just gonna be business stuff and they'll be boring.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Britt, have you added anything more to your social profiles?
No.
All good.
I don't do anything. Sorry.
All good.
I'll get there eventually.
Okay. All right.
Pretty soon you're gonna be wishing you had.
Yeah. You can find me. I am on Twitter and Instagram and on Twitch as Pagan_plays. You're more than welcome to add me and watch me play something that's not Layers of Fear, thank God.
More Layers of Fear.
No.
Or just scary games in general.
Yeah, Layers of Fear Part 2 will be coming eventually. Like I think I will, because it's nearly the end of August now. I think I'm gonna wait it out and see can I do it in October and do like a special for the month of October, like every Friday night, which would be cool. So yeah. Dan,
all right.
where can we find you?
I am Starkey with a Y Vash on Twitter, and Stark Evil Vash on just about anything and everything across the board. YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, Instagram, all those fun places.
Say it in a Southern American accent, like I am.
Like I just changed my accent on the fly.
Well,
Like I'm gonna give my socials now. I'm gonna talk like this.
yeah, we've been talking about the fishing and stuff, and it's just
Just a little
that's the way
throwback
it
to the
goes.
episode where they were gonna go on with a turnip and Tuin and turnip. Hi everybody, my name is Turnip, and we're gonna do some bass fishing.
Gosh darn it.
Bad later.
Gosh darn it! I sit on you. Anyways.
Alrighty.
Yep, Twitch, Mixer, everything. Twitter is the only thing that my name is different because, I don't know, just because. So just to give a little update too, we did change hosting platforms. We are now broadcasting for your eballs listening enjoyment using anchor.fm. They've been a nice new shift for our platform to be able to host the podcast. They also have a new feature where you can leave us a voice message to the Replayer podcast on the Anchor page. So if you are listening to us directly from Anchor, there's an option that you can click and make a little message. You can say hi, tell us whatever. If we like what you said, we might feature your audio on future episodes of the podcast. So you can hear yourself on the show if you'd like.
That'd be so cool, like to get like messages from
I think that'd be
from
fun.
replayers across the world. Like, pop a message in and we'll make a segment. And,
Yeah, that'd be great.
We'll do the best of the voice messages. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'd love to make that a section. Give a little shout outs to people.
Sames, brah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I hope you've been enjoying our podcast. And, other than leaving us a message, you can also write to us at the replayerpodcast@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, rate, and review us on whatever platform you're listening to us on, which is pretty much everything across the board now. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Troy and Nolan, because without you guys, we would not be here. Because you give us retro replay.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys. You guys are amazing. Thanks so much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
All
guys.
right. So until next time, everyone, have a good day. Say bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna punch you in the taint.